Hey, it's Michael here from the bike shop at Yamba. I want to talk today about your bicycle's touch points. Now, what am I talking about touch points? I'm talking about the parts such as your grips, your saddle, and your pedals. So I'm testing these ones out at the moment. These are BBB branded, and I kind of like how they feel. You know, what makes them nice is they've got a solid end plug. So for those of you who want to use mirrors and stuff, that works nicely. Just take the end plug out, put the mirror in. They've got a lock ring there, so it's much more secure, less chance of twisting around, and it just feels nice on the hand. So they're a little bit dearer than my regular grips, but I think it was worth the difference because you're going to get something that's going to be more comfortable on your hands, and a lot of people have problems with their hands being numb and so on, and you have a grip that's going to last longer, so I think it's a good investment. So some people go for grips that are more ergonomic, and so you have more of a shaped grip. And the thought behind this is that you get to rest more of your palm on the grip instead. And some people find that more comfortable too. So there's a few little things that some people don't even know we do that can get people more comfortable on the bike. Now, I'm not a big fan of bar ends on a bike, but I don't mind these. These are integrated. The reason I don't like bar ends, by the way, is because when your hands are here on the handlebars, you can't use your brakes, and that's not a good thing. So I like to have my hands where the brakes are, but I do acknowledge that some people like to have their hands in this position instead of traditionally on the handlebars. So we've got these. These are only $12, by the way, so I think that's a bit of a steal. So that's just the grips. Let's talk about saddles. So with my saddles, you know, there's three things that I consider. The first one is the shape of the saddle. And it doesn't necessarily follow that because you've got a big bottom, you need a big wide saddle, because when we sit down on the bike, we're really only sitting on two parts. Either it's going to be mainly our sitting bones or our pelvic bones. The boy's shape, this is mainly for, you know, just riding around on town. I'm not talking about road racing saddles or anything like that. The boy's shape is slightly narrower through here, and normally slightly longer as well. The girl's size shape is slightly wider through here and not quite so long. So once we've got the shape down pat, then I'll look at the rest of the saddle. And I don't just simply look at, you know, how squishy it is from the top. Because when you're sitting down, that ends up being squished and then you're sitting on that. I also look underneath the saddle and see what it's like at the bottom as well. So I don't know if you can make this out, that there's a web of springs underneath this saddle that actually helps with the support. So you've got the little web of springs inside as well as the big springs over there. So these are super, super comfortable. And that's probably why they're my biggest selling saddle, because they just kind of work. Some people do need a wider saddle though, and it does depend on the way that you sit on the bike and the way that you ride. So just because a seat though is wide doesn't mean it's necessarily comfortable, because I do have some saddles which they're okay, but they're not as good as these ones, and it's simply because the structure is not there in the middle of it. I think I've made it clear I'm not a big fan of gel seat covers, and the reason is that they move, and I think they're kind of a bit unhygienic. I consider them as big sweat sponges. And for bikes that live near the beach and people go swimming, then get on their bike, this ends up quite manky after a while. So I'm not a big fan of those. I do have some because some people insist on them. So that's enough for saddles. Now when it comes to pedals, pedals aren't really that dear, I don't think, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, you know, sure, we can get pedals up to, you know, $500-600 if you're counting grams for particular applications, but most people around town, they either typically are riding bare feet, so we have these nice little comfort ones with a rubber grippy bit on top. We have some people who you know, just want to make sure that there's a nice wide platform, so we've got a really simple platform pedal, and some just want to make sure their feet don't slip off there, and so we'll have a metal pedal, and that can grip your shoes. Now, but these ones aren't always the best if you want to ride bare feet. So just make sure that the pedals you're choosing match the riding style. So, you know, that's the basics really of what we look at when it comes to getting comfortable on bikes. We look at the 3 touch points, and that's going to be your grips, your saddle, and your pedals. And you get those right, and bike's going to be much more comfortable to ride. So if you want some help getting yours right, come and talk to me. We have the opportunity of putting stuff on your bike. You can try it. If you don't like it, you don't buy it. But you bring your bike in, it makes it much easier. So it's Michael from Bike Shop Yamba. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.